What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Well. What do you know? I did a video today. I posted it up, and I informed you of Enzo Calzaghe, Joe Calzaghe's father slash trainer. His comments. He said that Reese was going to stop Broner, and I said, just like in my prediction video, I don't see that. I highly doubt that. Um, and I'm gonna post my prediction video. Looks like I was right again. When will you guys listen? And if you watch my prediction video, I even said I see this fight ending in a KO or TKO between rounds 5 and 7. As you guys know that watched the fight, this ended in round 5 due to Reese's corner throwing in the towel and stopping the fight. Now, with that being said, I will give Gavin Reese major props for not just being an opponent. He really came out trying to do something different. He executed a little bit more head movement than I had seen on some of the YouTube videos. I told you guys I didn't know much about Gavin Reese, but I just did some research. I noticed a little bit more head movement from Gavin Reese, and he was really throwing punches and bunches, which was exactly what Enzo Calzaghe said that he would do, which was all good. So if you watch the first 2 rounds, it was actually a relatively slow start for Adrian Broner. And I mentioned that in the prediction video too. Adrian Broner is not the fastest starter, and it looked like he was trying to fill out Gavin Reese's power and his style, etc. And my critique about Adrian Broner on this fight is, I understand you're trying to sell yourself, build your brand, but I think sometimes, especially in the ring, you would want to take the bull by the horns or take control of the fight before you start doing showboat stuff. Like, even if you watch Roy Jones Jr., I think I would see more of the showboating when he was really confident that he had it in the bag, that he could really, there's nothing that this opponent could do to hurt him. But rounds 1 and 2, it seemed like Adrian Broner was kind of acting, um, I would say, invincible just by showboating, and those are the fill out rounds. You don't want to play around, especially with a guy from overseas that you don't really know much about, and that's my biggest thing. Because I know if Adrian Broner gets in the ring with someone who's bigger and has their own advantages, like, you know what I mean, like a Brandon Rios, that's not something you want to do until you have the fight firmly in under your control. And even still, with the Brandon Rios on that could take a punch, and one punch is not necessarily going to knock him out. Um, you would want to be cautious of that. So that's my advice for Adrian Broner. I understand selling yourself. I understand the showmanship aspect of it. The Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, showboating, Roy Jones. That's cool. But make sure you have the fight under control before you start doing it. And as far as I'm concerned, unless you did something extreme in rounds 1 or 2, you don't. No one has the fight under control unless, like I said, unless you knocked them down or something crazy. Um, so, and that's when the fighters are their freshest in the first 2 rounds. So, I think he got off to a slower start this time because he was kind of toying with. I don't know why maybe he just had no respect for Gavin Reese, because I haven't seen him in the ring kind of toy with his opponent so much and throw this many or this little punches in the first 2 rounds that I can remember. So that's my advice to Adrian Broner. Just separate it and make sure, especially when you start fighting some guys that are bigger and bigger names in the sport, that you don't joke around and play around too much. But again, the fight was what I predicted. I predicted a TKO or KO rounds 5 through 7. The corner stopped it round 5, giving Adrian Broner a TKO victory. He's on a TKO streak. I don't know the exact amount of numbers, but his last couple of fights for sure have been TKOs. Um, like I said, Gavin Reese, he was game. The first 2 rounds, I think he showed Adrian Broner something he's not used to in terms of someone being that aggressive. This guy definitely has heart, and it looks like he has a chin as well, because he hasn't lost in 4 or 5 years, and he has a lot of fights, and he's only been knocked out once. So it looks like Gavin Reese has definitely has pride, and he wasn't intimidated by Adrian Broner, but the better fighter won, and that was Adrian Broner. But yeah, Gavin Reese was definitely game, and he made it more exciting than I thought, because I seen Adrian Broner take punches and get shots off, even though he's much smaller in stature than Adrian Broner. So I didn't even see that coming to that degree. But he was throwing several punches, and it just wasn't enough. So round one I definitely gave to Reese. Round two I gotta watch it again, but I'm leaning towards Gavin Reese just off the top of my mind because I just feel like Adrian Broner was trying to joke around too much, or he was trying to showboat and he wasn't that busy. But in round three, that's when Adrian Broner, it looks like he put all the showmanship stuff aside and he started really putting together some punches, and he really had Reese hurt towards the end of the round, but then the bell rang, so he was kind of safe by the bell. In the fourth round, Broner dropped Reese to the canvas with, it was just a nasty right uppercut, and he just fell to the ground like dead weight, like a rag doll. It was a beautifully placed shot, beautifully timed shot, and that's only the second knockdown of Reese's career. He's 32, and he's had several fights in the UK and whatnot. But the fifth round was just a continuation. I think the uppercut, he was probably on shaky legs to begin with from the uppercut in the fourth round. But during the fifth round, it was pretty much the same. Adrian Broner really got behind the wheel and started taking charge with his combinations. He was showing incredible hand speed and accuracy. That was probably the most impressive. When he had his man hurt, he was really showing a lot of accuracy. Now, this is the thing that I think Mikey Garcia can learn from a fighter like Adrian Broner. Not that they're in the same weight class or anything, but Adrian Broner is a finisher. And Mikey Garcia, I like him as a fighter a lot. I even predicted he would beat Orlando Salido, which he did in a very dominant fashion. But sometimes I think he doesn't take enough calculated risk and he doesn't finish his guy. So that's what I would want Mikey Garcia to improve on. Whereas you have a fighter like Adrian Broner, and he can visibly see when his man is hurt, or he can see when his opponent does something that he can capitalize on, and he's really good about finishing. But he was putting together some crazy combinations, showing wicked hand speed. And in the fifth round, he just crushed him with the body shot. And Gavin Reese was complaining it was low, but it was right above the belt line. It was a perfectly placed shot. Even in the Mirkov versus Zab Judah fight, I thought that body shot was kind of low, but this was a legit shot that Adrian Broner landed, and it looked like Gavin Reese was hunched over for just like a hair too long, and he just timed it perfectly when Gavin Reese was completely hunched over and relaxed, and that's the worst because he didn't really get to brace himself for the impact, and then he just got a nasty body shot. So Adrian Broner, aside from a slow start, which is what I said he would do, I didn't think it would be that slow, and I didn't think he would let Gavin Reese appear to win rounds that easily, like the first round. But aside from that, he had a masterful performance. I like how he mixes up his punches. I mean, he can fight on the inside, on the outside. His uppercuts are disgusting, and his accuracy is a problem, and so is his hand speed. So it was an entertaining fight. Better performance from Gavin Reese than I would have expected, just based on the YouTube videos. He really came out to fight, and his corner stopped it. I would definitely watch Gavin Reese in the future, so props to him. It just, Adrian Broner was too much for him. Let me know what you guys think of the fight. Next for Adrian Broner, since he defended his WBC lightweight title, and he plans to continue to fight at 135 as of right now, I would like to see him fight Vasquez or Ricky Burns, the winner of that fight. I think that would be a good fight for him, or even Richard Abril, just because that's another awkward fighter. And that's the thing with these awkward fighters, because I think even in the Gavin Reese fight, Gavin Reese's short height actually worked to his advantage to a degree, because Adrian Broner, his last couple opponents have been either taller than him or around the same height as him. So the fact that Gavin Reese was aggressive, more aggressive than most of his opponents, plus he was shorter, it kind of worked to his advantage to the point where it was harder for Broner to hit at first. It was harder for him to get a read on Gavin Reese because he was kind of crafty and he was providing some movement. So a fighter like Richard Abril, who's definitely tricky, would be an interesting fight just to see. But the biggest thing that these people, especially at 135, are going to experience with Broner is a fighter like Richard Abril. Although he's very stealthy and a sneaky fighter, he doesn't pack much of a punch. So to get a guy like Adrian Broner to respect you, I think you're going to have to crack harder, like somebody like a Brandon Rios or Lucas Matisse or Danny Garcia, or just someone with a significant power. Because once he has his filler rounds early in the beginning, I feel if he feels he could take your pain, or excuse me, your punches, or if he could take your punching power, I don't think he's going to respect you. So I think he'll end up catching up to someone like a Richard Abril. And I don't really know how good Richard Abril's chin is. I know he stood up to Brandon Rios, but Brandon Rios is not as technically gifted a fighter, and he's not as accurate as Adrian Broner. So I feel like even in that fight, Richard Abril versus Broner, that Broner would probably catch up with him sooner than later, to the point where it would end up getting stopped. I don't really see anyone at 135 really beating him. That's just my opinion. I think he's not going to really get tested until he goes to 140. Let me know what you guys thought of this performance. Who do you want to see Broner fight for his next fight? That's basically it. Leave a comment, hate, subscribe. Until next video, it's Ego signing off.